Sathya Sai Speaks, Volume 11, Chapter 34. Where and Why, Part 1 of 2. The glory of Bharat, which has illumined for centuries the hearts of humanity, is waiting the surgence of the Sai movement. Through proper presentation and practical application by you, to have an even more brilliant future in the coming years. As the spark that causes the fire, as the driver in the engine drawing a long line of coaches along, as the designer and operator of a system of automatic lights, this Sai is here creating and fostering the world and all its various communities, living and non-living. You have gathered here as office bearers of these units of the Sathya Sai organization, activating the villages and towns of this land. I am happy to be with you. You all know that this gathering has a special significance. Last week, you and all those connected with the organization were afraid that this conference might not meet at all. For this country was invaded by enemies and we were in the midst of a conflict. But today, fear and anxiety have gone, and there is this atmosphere of Ananda around you. This conference was decided upon by Sai. It is a Sai Nirnaya. Nothing can interrupt the realization of that resolution. Last November on the 23rd, the day when this body took birth, I announced, as you know, that Bharat will not suffer from any calamity or distress. Therefore, when the conflict with Pakistan came about, you began doubting whether that announcement was contradicted by events. There were some who drew conclusions and started arguing according to their own notions. But you should not count what happened until a few days ago as war. It was only the last chapter of a conflict in existence since years, and which grew in dimensions during the last 8 months. It has little to do with India. It was a struggle of one part of Pakistan with another. People of Bharat will never inflict injury on others. This civil war in Pakistan forced millions of terror-stricken people to seek refuge in India. They prayed in their agony that we should help them, and true to our traditions and our dharma, moral code, we sacrificed a great deal and gave them food and shelter and sent them back to their homes after ensuring that they could be safe there and live in peace. The people of Bharat have never entertained any desire to expand their territory or to inflict injury on other nationalities. They will never develop such desire hereafter also. This is the land of the Hindus. Him means himsa, violence, injury. Dhu means dhur, far away from. Hindu means therefore free from any desire to be violent, to cause injury or harm. This country is incapable of aggressive intentions on others. The people of Bangladesh who underwent countless tortures and travails were welcomed, treated with sympathy and care, and taken back to their homes and settled on the land which they had run away from. That is the sacred service that India did. It was no offensive against Pakistan, and It all stopped well before this conference. There are still a few who are bothered with anxiety since Bhutto has become the leader of that country and his intentions are not friendly. You need not entertain any fears on that score. It is inevitable that Pakistan might harbor some resentment at their defeat, but that resentment cannot grow into anger sufficient to induce them to fall upon India again. Purity of thought, word, and deed is needed, embodiments of the divine. The welfare of the world depends on the welfare of society. The welfare of society depends on the welfare of the individuals who comprise it. The individual, by his thoughts, words, and deeds, develops or undermines the welfare of society and thus affects the world. When the world has peace and prosperity, the individual can have freedom from fear and positive joy. Without that Ananda, one cannot grasp the Brahman principle, unitive absolute, which is unsullied, immeasurable Ananda itself. Trikarana Shruti is prescribed by the sages as essential for tasting the Ananda of the universal absolute. That expression means the purity of thought, word, and deed. This purity is needed even for efficient working of the organization in which you are working. In fact, it is important at all levels of human efforts, but at the present time, there is no evidence of this purity anywhere. They play false to their professions, talking peace and fanning the flames of war. Our organization must strive to correct this hypocrisy. We must teach by precept and example the straight path of sincerity and harmony. This conference calls on scientists who are blind, though possessing eyesight, to open their eyes of wisdom and see things whole, see things deeper than ever before. Man has become so insane that he limps though his legs are good. He is mad though his mind is sound, deaf though his ears are efficient enough. It has become urgent to warn him of this absurdity and infuse some sanity into his behavior. This conference calls on him to awake into the higher reality. Service of man is service offered to God. The many in the one, that is the real nature of society. All for one for all. This has become a slogan rather than a fact. If it is realized in fact, you will find that it is the design of nature that it should be so, and that it is a sign of advanced culture too. This conference calls upon all to share their resources, power, skill, and achievements with the rest. For Manasa Seva, the service of man, is really Madhava Seva, service offered to God. There are various societies rendering social service nowadays, but the service does not warm the heart. It is done as a cold routine affair or as a showy performance with a great deal of expensive hullabaloo. These societies have reduced the land to its present deplorable condition. The inclinations of the mind, the implications of speech, and the indications of deeds have to be coordinated and harmonized. That is the test of the success of our organization. That is the surest means of achieving it. Identify the group with which you work as your own self. Do not allow this to be a copybook maxim, but try to put it into daily practice. Through the group you can earn samasta, samarasa, sanubhuti, that is to say, awareness of and empathy with the feelings of one and all. That is the spring of unalloyed bliss. We have at present persons who pride themselves on their encyclopedic scholarship and technical skill. They claim to know the innermost secrets of nature. They fly into outer space and even land on the moon. But ask them whether they have Ananda and can stay in Ananda. They will reply that they have yet to experience it. If they know everything worth knowing, why have they missed this? It is clear they are suffering under some delusion. All are activated by one divine force. You, or at least those from Andhra Pradesh who are among you, would have heard or read about the pupils of Paramananda Guru. 10 of them crossed a river, wading to the other bank. In order to find out whether all had arrived safe, one fellow counted the rest. He declared there were only 9. Each of the 10 counted the rest again, and everyone agreed there were only 9 survivors. One of them had definitely been drowned. So the 10 started wailing aloud in their bereavement, and a passerby was drawn to the group in sympathy. He saw there were 10. The mistake was the man who counted left himself out. He ignored himself in counting the rest. This is the mistake every one of these encyclopedic intellects commit. They count everyone except themselves. They know everything except the workings of their own minds and the methods by which they can attain inner calm. So you must know who you are, and then, if necessary, try to know about the other persons and objects. Now it is all topsy-turvy, just as all the organizational units are being activated by the one divine force. All are activated by one principle. Resolve to identify it and experience it. Then the purpose of the organization is served. Use the unique characteristics of man: discrimination, wisdom, detachment, viveka, vijnana, and vairagya, and drive at that realization. To put it even more plainly, you will derive Ananda only if you succeed in doing 3 exercises. 1. Forget the thing that has to be forgotten. Forget the objective world. Ignore it. It is asat, only relatively real, not absolutely real. Forget the asat. Remember the first statement in the prayer. Asato ma satgamaya, lead me from the unreal to the real. 2. Give up that which has to be given up. The jiva bhava, which is darkness, has to be given up in order to attain light, which is deva bhava. You are not the body. You are not just an individual. You are not just a chance spark or a stray drop. You are part of the divine, a fraction of the fire, a wave of the ocean. This is the second statement in the Vedic prayer. Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya. Lead me from darkness into light. 3. You must reach the place where you have to reach, that is, Brahma Tattva. Brahma means expanse, limitless presence. You have to pass beyond the limit to the limitless. Limit is death. Beyond it, unaffected by it, is immortality. So the prayer cited above adds as a third statement, Mrutyo Mar Amrutam Gamaya. Lead me from death to immortality. End of part 1 of 2. Madras, December 22nd, 1971.